Hey guys, it's Matthew here, and sorry for a bit of a hiatus. I've been dealing with a lot of allergies, a bit more depression, and just kind of thinking about stuff. But hey, I'm here now, back here again. So today it came across my mind again, a bit of a thought that's been on my mind for however the past many months since I stopped doing student organizations and just kind of dropped off, is just kind of wondering if minority, like the minority groups, like women's groups, LGBT groups, that kind of stuff, if that ends up being more harmful or hurtful. And to tell you the truth, I've never really come to a conclusion of that. I think there's good and bad, and I think it also really depends on the group. Like, even just going between universities, the same, student organization, it's going to have different people. It's probably going to run a little differently. Core values and the main overall organization is going to be the same, but you probably won't have the same experiences going from different group to different group. So really, in this video, all I can speak of is my experiences towards things and how those have gone, which, to tell you the truth, have not been too positive, actually. Which is, well, you could probably guess I quit the student groups. I may try the women's one again. Don't quote me on that, but we'll see. So, get started off. My first year when I came in here, I thought it'd be a good idea to join some student groups, since I didn't do that in community college, because who really does that in community college except for, some people when they actually make friends. No, but I came in and I was like, this was when I was on the cusp of my transition as well. So we'll start out talking about the female engineering group. They originally did an overnight stay kind of opportunity, which I took part in before I got into this university that I'm in right now. And I thought the people were pretty cool, welcoming, everyone was nice. Thought it was pretty genuine. And I may have also had a crush on someone, so part of the reason. But after that, I was like, okay, when I come to this university, oh, sorry, I just bonked you guys. When I come to this university, I'm going to join this group, and hopefully, it'll go well, I'll fit in. And then that summer, after that orientation, is when I really started actually thinking about gender. It wasn't just something that just passed by my mind. So then, basically, when the school year started, is when I started testosterone, I started transitioning socially. And that's when I really started to kind of hear these kind of comments. So I guess, just to describe it a bit better, this organization is kind of divided into its own subgroups. So community service, recruitment, social activities, professional stuff, that kind of stuff. So I kind of mingled a bit, see what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to do something professional right off the bat. I definitely wanted to do community service, and I kind of jumped into recruitment a little bit for the first few meetings, just because that was the, how do I explain it? That was kind of the little subgroup that made the first overall orientation, so I was like, okay, I'll join back up in that. So each group has their own leader. The subgroups have their own leader, and then they all make up this exec board. But one of the old kind of goals for that recruitment group was to get more male identified people involved. And so we were making the new goal sheet for that year. I entered, and I said, okay, I just repeated, I was like, okay, what if we got some more males involved? And right in the back, it's I hear someone's just we don't want any guys involved. And I was kind of taken aback a bit, because I think at that point the recruitment leader and kind of a bit of people knew I was transitioning fully, because at that point I was like, okay, call me Matt, or a version of my old name, so I wasn't fully transitioned. But like they for sure knew, and I was just like, okay, don't want any guys involved at all. That kind of threw me off. And I guess that kind of just took me back, because it was like, you're making this women's group an organization because you want more like representation for women in like STEM careers, but at the same time you want to just shun out all the male like counterparts that are in the field. And I'm like, shouldn't you more want to coexist and make, you know, people that aren't aware more aware of like difficulties that women would face, instead of being like, we don't want you at all, we don't want to teach you, we don't, you know, want to work with you. You know, I just didn't see how that was going to help. And then I guess over time too, as I got more and more involved with this group, because I was pretty active, I was more active than some of the officers actually, and that stuff, and I heard about quite a bit of the drama, which took me aback quite a bit of how much infighting there was just between the officers and like the other women. Because apparently some of the people were not totally on board with LGBTQ plus people, and you know, as a belief kind of thing, I can understand that a bit. If you're raised that way and you're like, the whole I don't agree with the lifestyle, but trying to shun people out of a student organization because of that and making them feel uncomfortable, like that I'm not okay with. Like, you can have your beliefs, but just don't let those beliefs come in the way of making others welcome and making them feel accepted. So I knew a lot of LGBTQ plus people that stopped like going in the organization because they were hearing comments of like what's the point with the LGBT, we don't need them here, because people are trying to do some, you know, education for the LGBT woman identified people in STEM. So that kind of bummed me out. And then just all the drama I felt personally within the women's group, it was kind of like, I felt like they were hurting themselves more than helping themselves. Because in a way, I get it, especially for student organizations. You want to be a leader, you want to build up your resume, you want companies to be like, hell yeah, I want this person. But at the same time, it kind of just got in the way of like coexisting with people, and like whether you were just nice to them or not. It's kind of what I was feeling. And I felt like part of the reason, you know, it is a per person thing of whether they just want to kind of walk on people and use them or not. But at the same time, I kind of felt, you know, it's something that's kind of ingrained a bit into the culture, because you're learning to be competitive. Like, oh, you gotta compete with men in the field, oh, you gotta compete with other women. Like, you get stuck in this competitive mindset to see, like, other people instead of, like, allies and people who are gonna help you out, just to see them as, this is an obstacle I have to go over just to advance myself. And part of that attitude was also why I quit for a bit. But at the same time, I should say, like, most of my friends that I actually made from the group, they actually wanted more male involvement. Like, they were actively working for that. They wanted, you know, LGBT people to feel, like, secure in the women's STEM group, and I was happy about that. But I guess it's just kind of sad that, you know, those people who have those kind of ideas and goals and beliefs, they're not at as high ranks in the organization as the people that, you know, don't want that kind of stuff, and that's what holds it back a bit. So yeah, there was a lot of bad, but I still, you know, commend the organization and the people, you know, for doing all their outreach stuff and reaching out to like girls in middle school and such with all the projects, and, you know, getting them more interested in STEM. I think it's just more of the politics that kind of just took over when you're actually in the group, that for me just kind of ruined that whole experience. And just being, I guess just also being part of the group that felt a bit more excluded. Because I know for me personally, I always wondered, hey, if I still identified as a woman and stuff, would I have gotten positions? Would I have gotten farther? Would I have been more accepted? Kind of thing. And you know, I can't worry about that now. Like, I'm happy the way I am, and I know that if I still was like identifying as a woman and like going around as that and using my old name, I definitely wouldn't have felt comfortable at all. So in that way, I don't regret, but also at the same time, I'm just like, man, if it were different, what could have happened? And I guess just touching, you know, briefly, it's kind of the same thing with I was part of the LGBT trans group on campus for a bit. And basically, I just quit that because, I don't know, it felt like an echo chamber. And of course, like, you know, it's good to get your feelings out for other trans people. But at the same time, when I was there, they started chanting "down with cis," which made me really uncomfortable because I was like, you know, guys, maybe not. I can get your frustration and feelings about that with interactions with cis people, but if someone just walked in, like a cis person just walked in and maybe they wanted to learn more about trans people, and they just hear that, they're gonna feel like shit. They're gonna feel so excluded, and that's gonna, like, especially if that's their first interaction with trans people, that's gonna make them feel like, oh, all trans people are like this, they're all gonna hate me. Like, that's not gonna help anybody at all. And also, they really didn't want to educate people on trans issues. They're like, oh, why don't people know this already? They should know. And it's like, if someone isn't researching into this topic, if they don't have close friends that are trans, like, if they're not trans themselves, if they're not thinking about it, like, they're probably just going to do a skim Google search. And we all know how reliable Google searches can be sometimes. So it's like, if they genuinely want to learn, you also have to put in the effort to teach them about, you know, your experiences and how maybe like other trans people view this, or like what's not appropriate to ask. You know, people aren't going to know off the bat. So that's why I kind of, you know, in a nutshell, quit the like LGBT groups, because it just felt too close-minded for me. And I personally, if someone like wants to ask me a question, I'm like, ask me anything. Like, if it feels too personal, I'll tell you. Or like, if you shouldn't just like go off the bat and ask someone else, I'll tell you that. But I'd rather educate someone and have them learn more if they're willing to learn more, than just be like, why the hell don't you just Google search this? Like, come on. I know a bit of research and stuff, you know, I'd like to see that. Just to know that you're, you know, really trying, really looking at it. But even if you're not, like, I'm still gonna tell you anyways. I'm not gonna be an asshole to you for asking questions. So, I don't know, there's the good and the bad. I feel like if you really fit in to those kind of groups, like, and you're kind of the stereotypical norm, you're gonna have it a little bit easier. But if you're like a bit, I don't want to say off, but not normal in the sense of that group, you may run into a bit more problems. But again, it depends on the group, it depends on the people. Like, people are what really make a group. So don't just take like what I've said and be like, oh, if I join a group like this, it's gonna be like that. Like, you'll probably have a totally different experience. And you know, there's good and bad to everything. So you kind of just have to weigh through that as well, to see, you know, if this is the group for you, if this is the people you want to hang out with. Like, for me personally, I found that it wasn't, but maybe you might, and you might be able to educate them a bit more on being a bit more open. I don't know, you know. Where's this video going now? I don't know. I guess it just turned more into a rant. But yeah, I'll see you guys later, and hopefully I'll be a bit better with uploading. I am actually working on a video, a little bit more artsy about depression, so that may take a bit more time to come out. But I'll try to keep you guys updated more, and I will see you later.